pena, con muchas cosas buenas. We're gonna dive in and meet some shameless personalities.
Hello.
Gregg, Stuart, Weiner. Wow, this is
Just
truly a
Gregg for short.
pleasure because we've heard a lot. We've heard a lot about you. We actually went to New World ourselves, us two here.
Oh, when? When did you guys go?
We graduated 2020, both of us.
Oh, okay.
She
Wow.
did musical theater. I did acting track.
Because you had David Quiet, did you not?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
my advisor for my one-man show and scene study. Like first year, I think we did improv and then scene study. Yeah, he was
Scene
was
study
integral.
sophomore year.
Yeah, there you go.
For us too. I mean, he actually left our senior year, was his final year. So we did the whole, we sang 525,600 minutes, but we actually added all the minutes he's been working at New World. And we sang it to him.
Yeah, we sent him off in a boat. It was really nice.
Bon voyage. Yeah.
Yes, into your retirement. Enjoy.
We also, like, I have seen you in so many shows in South Florida, because of course in New World, they're like, go to this, go to that, go to this.
Yeah.
And in Gable Stage, I saw you in a couple at the Colony. I actually worked at the Colony for a little bit and saw you there. So it's
wow.
just awesome that Trees even said, do you guys want to interview Gregg Weiner? We were, of course, like, Gregg Weiner? No.
God.
Us talk to him? But
That's
you're
absurd, but thank you.
Oh, you're an absurd man. We're absurd people. It makes sense.
Exactly.
We love it.
Yeah, totally.
Wow. So what made you choose Miami from Philadelphia? What were you like?
I was 6. I didn't have a choice in the matter. I was taken hostage by my parents. You know?
Yeah, that's true too.
They made me do everything they said, and I just went along with it.
Right.
They relocated. I had bad allergies as a kid, and they were done with Philadelphia and the winters, and so we settled there, and we were there for a very long time until a year ago. Then all the Wieners left.
Oh,
All the Wieners left Florida.
only
So-
one Wiener left.
No, I'm not even there anymore.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
I forgot that you're
where
moving. You're leaving.
New York, right?
Yeah. I just moved here like a week ago, actually.
Wow.
Moved back. I'd been
Yeah,
here-
you were in and out of New York for about 7 years or something like that. 8 years.
Yeah, I was in New York for 7 years, and then I left. I went back to Miami for a little bit, went to LA for a year, hated it. Then I went back to New York from 08 to 09. The recession hit, and I was getting a lot of theater work done in Miami, and I went back down there to work, and that was 12 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But my intention was always to come back to New York.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're there now,
I
and
just-
that's the path
Yeah.
that has led you on. That's
Totally.
beautiful. Why
Yeah.
did you hate LA? What
Oh,
made you
well,
say no?
like I'm a character actor guy. I'm not like a leading man model, pretty person. I don't consider myself ugly, but I'm not Hollywood handsome, I guess. I don't even know where that term just came from. But
I mean,
I think you know what I mean.
beg
It's
to
just like,
differ, but okay.
thank you. But and so I was just struggling there, and I had a manager say she was going to rep me out there, and that fell through, as things like that often do. And I went out on my own. I did one show there because of a friend I met at New World who had a TV show, It's Always Sunny. And that was the only reason I got to be on that show.
Oh wow.
And that was like it. And I tried to like parlay that into better representation, but the agents out there, they didn't give a, can I curse or no? Should I
Like
not curse?
mildly, not too much. Actually.
Right.
Yeah.
They just the agents out there, they weren't impressed by my 3 or 4 credits at the time, TV and film credits. So I just was like, in fact, I was called developmental. And I said, well, I don't want to develop in Los Angeles where everyone's constantly auditioning, even when they're pumping gas. Everyone's dressed to the nines, and that town is what it is, and I just I didn't want to struggle there. If I was going to struggle anywhere for TV and film, it would be New York, because this place is more my vibe.
Yeah.
And how is it now, like with the pandemic and everything? Like,
Yeah,
how's it been?
I mean, the city's still incredible, and you still feel that incredible energy here when you're here. But you know, it's markedly decreased in people out, and you know, it's strange, but it's not like depressing. It's just, you know, everybody's out wearing masks. I don't know what it was like here last April or March, but I'm sure it's improved since then. So, you know, people are just doing their thing. I went to get a bagel at some bagel place, and I had to sign a form for contact tracing.
Oh,
you
wow.
know, so I had to put my name, my phone number. Yeah, they're pretty thorough. So if somebody were to come down with something in the period of time, whenever, and they would go through all those names and be like, listen, you may have been exposed, and you know.
All
so
for a bagel.
That's pretty
All for a
badass. I mean, yeah, and New York, just like everyone wears masks. Nobody's not wearing a mask here. And I wish I could say the same for the rest of the country, but you know, it's
especially
New York.
Miami, and
especially Miami.
Yeah.
It like doesn't exist in so many parts of this place.
well,
Especially South Beach.
South Florida, yes.
Oh, yeah.
It does not exist because we came from, we were in Chicago for the beginning of this pandemic and for most of it. And
Oh, wow.
and we moved there, and then we came back for a little, and we plan on going back up now. But when I came from Chicago to Miami to see the complete difference of how people are treating this, like I went to Miami Beach and saw people inside without a mask. I went into a store and the owner didn't even have a mask. And I'm like, oh, that's good. This is nice.
Yeah, yeah.
What
I was
made
actually living on South Beach for 3 months doing a play on Lincoln Road, and I would
7 deadly
pass
sins.
the bar Lost Weekend every single day. And that's like right on Espanola and between Collins and Ocean, I think. And every time I'd go, I would walk by, I would just look, and it was packed, nobody wearing masks, smoking, the doors are closed, there's no ventilation. And I'm just like, what's wrong with people?
Yeah, like why? Yeah.
Do you know, and it was younger people. And of course, you know, the virus doesn't really make a huge difference to younger people in their 20s, but still, it's just such a selfish frame of mind.
That's what it's not. It's not even
it was
like
all over South
you know,
Beach.
the virus doesn't affect the younger people, but it's the older people. The younger people are interacting with,
And
like,
making
it
us
really
feel
is.
safe. It's just nice. Like when you wear the mask, it's just like, yep, we're all good. Like, don't worry about it. We're taking care of it.
Yeah. What made you to want to move during the pandemic, though? Like during all this time, why did you think now was a good time?
Well,
I didn't mean to say it like
basically,
that, but I'm like
subtext,
wondering.
why are you such a moron, Greg?
Not at all.
No, it's a good question. It's a good
dope
question.
as
It's
hell.
just, it was totally circumstances. I was planning on moving to New York last May when I was finished with a contract in Sarasota. And that, you know, my contract got cut right in the middle of it. And I lost like a lot of money, and it was the pandemic. So I was in the holding pattern. And then my family moved to Sacramento. I had to drive my mother cross country, and then I was going to go to New York. I didn't, you know, there's no good time to move to New York, I don't think, you know. And so the pandemic was just like, well, am I going to use another excuse not to go to New York? Am I going to be, you know, just in a holding pattern for another year? I couldn't do it anymore. You
If
know?
not now, then when?
Very true.
Yeah, exactly. And it, you know, it just, like I said, it's not an ideal time, but I'm figuring it out, you know, because
I mean, you're either
That's
going to
what you
figure
do.
it out in Miami or in New York, so might as well just go over
I
there.
think if my family had like money and a house somewhere, I would have held up with them there and just rode out the, you know, the
rest of
virus.
it.
But then I would have gone crazy and left anyway. So, you know,
Either way, you would have been gone.
I would have been gone anyway. So, yeah.
It's very true. I mean,
Yeah.
but this virus has really just made us rethink everything, even with theater. Because we know that you did the show at Lincoln Road. I actually went to go watch it, and I used to work with Miami New Drama at the Colony as an usher. So once I saw that go up, I'm like, absolutely, please. And you were phenomenal. And I think that with every show that I've seen you in, you really do transform into that character, that person, which I kind of want to ask you, what is your routine when you do get picked for a show? How do you kind of become that person? Do you kind of pull it more from you? What's the process?
Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment. It's different for every show. And that playing Richard Nixon was a mammoth feat that I didn't think I could ever pull off, just because I'm Jewish and, I'm 47. And so when Michelle told me about it, he's like, I want you to play Nixon. I'm like, all right. I said, but I'm not going to be the stereotypical or blah, blah, blah voice. I don't want to do a voice, and we went back and forth a lot on it because what I wanted to do was just create a character that's based on Nixon and not do a living, breathing imitation because, come on, it's not SNL.
It's always so hard.
So
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a struggle in that, and there was talk of like prosthetics and stuff like that, and the whole process was messy, and we were under a lot of pressure to not catch COVID, otherwise the production would shut down completely. So there was a lot of different factors that went into this. My process was listening to Nixon over and over and over again for as long as I could, as much as I could. I researched the living hell out of him. And once we were on our feet, I just started trying things out, just trying to sculpt it. And so it was really just throw it up against the wall, see what works, and keep trying, and always just try and be in the moment and listening to each other. He was a great facilitator of being in the moment with me and just
Yeah.
you know.
That's what I was going to ask, though, too, with this show specifically, since it was on Lincoln Road. I remember there were cars honking, cars passing, people screaming. Yeah. And it does kind of, as much as those headphones,
you masks, like just like walking everywhere, like doing their whole thing.
Yeah,
so
Crystal Millie Valdez was my usher. And when we had the show that it's across the street, because it's in the docking zone at the Colony.
Oh, yeah.
That one, a car literally stopped, a police car stopped, and she was recording what was happening, and Crystal's like, "Excuse me, you're blocking a whole audience over here." But how was it performing with that?
That show, Envy, that took place in the loading dock of the theater, the Colony on Lenox, they had the worst because they couldn't stop the traffic. I guess I'm assuming production tried to stop traffic during the show, but that wasn't happening.
It's impossible.
So they had so much distraction. I can't imagine what it was like. We had some distractions, but it wasn't anything. You know, we would have to talk louder when, oh my God, when a fire engine would go by or sirens or, I actually screamed at somebody while I was doing the show.
What do you mean?
And it was after the election. Yeah, well, I kind of felt like I had the license to because it was such a it just didn't feel like formal theater. And, shit happens in the moment. I like when stuff happens in the moment that breaks you if you're in, robot mode and you're in your play and you've done it for 5 billion times and something goes wrong, whatever, it kind of snaps you out of it and makes you really attached to the moment. I like that. But this was after the election and I don't remember. I think it was in January. I think it may have been right after the insurrection on January 6th.
Oof, wow.
It was actually because once, we had our weekend, which was Monday through Wednesday, right around the insurrection. So it was like the Thursday after, and we had some guy driving by screaming Trump, blah, 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 like really loud. And everyone heard it, so I couldn't ignore it. And I said in Nixon's voice, I said, "Oh, go fuck yourself," or something like that. And, just whatever in the moment. Then I kept going. It was, I
want to know when you got the acting bug. What was it? What made you say, that is what I'm going to do? I'm just going to be different characters for the rest of my life.
I was in high school and I was doing districts competition. And I was You're right there. Your microphone just fell apart.
Yep, it definitely did pop off
totally.
there. You know, it's all
Hey,
right.
it's like live theater.
Yeah, I know it.
Oh, it's all right.
Oh,
We're just
boy.
gonna hold it like this now, like a hot dog. Give us
Like a wiener.
yeah.
Waka,
Gang, gang.
Ah, look at that. We brought it back. Yeah, so I was in districts in Tampa for a competition. I was doing a scene, and it was a comedy, and I was in the room the room was packed with students and parents and teachers, and I played a waiter in a scene from Art of Dining. I don't remember the circumstances of the scene, but I was doing things and getting laughs, and by just like doing my job in that scene. And I literally I'd never felt anything like it. And I got off stage, or we got done, and I went and called my mom. And I'm like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Wow.
Like at
So you-
7, like I was thinking it was 16 or 17. It was I'll never forget it, because it's 30 years later and I'm still doing it. And I remember that moment, you know?
Yeah. I will say Actors Playhouse was my little bug of like every time I would go to the shows when I was a child, I went to Charlotte's Web and The Sound of Music. And I was just like, yeah, absolutely. That's a completely viable career experience. I'm going to do this every day.
So, Gable Stage. Wait, wrong one. Main Street Playhouse. Have you ever worked here before?
No,
Have you
I
ever
have
seen
not,
a
but
show
I've seen
here?
a bunch of shows.
Okay, cool.
I've seen, through the years, I've seen numerous shows there.
But what is your favorite Gable Stage memory? Actually, forget Gable Stage. What is your favorite Joseph Adler memory?
God, I did 17 shows with that guy.
Wow.
And he literally guided me through at least 3 personal rough patches in my life. And so it's hard to remember one great story, because every single production he would do or say something that would either make you laugh hysterically at how politically incorrect what he was saying was, or he would go on a rant about something and you would just sit in awe of how intelligent and well-read and just he's such a layered man, so many different layers, complications and a loving guy. And then, there were moments where he would be emotional from watching a show. And so there's so many experiences. When he passed away, obviously it affected so many people, and I started thinking back on all the shows and all the experiences, and I was just so grateful that I had some of the best moments of my life performing because of him. I wouldn't be who I am as an actor without him. So it's just to think of one story. There's just too many. I can't. Let me get back to you on that one.
Okay. He had such a love, from what I remember, of just what he was doing. I forgot what show it was that I went to go see, but it was the day of the Super Bowl. And I think I saw 2 shows the day of the Super Bowl at Cable Stage. And I love when he introduces the show, because,
I was just about to say.
oh my gosh,
that
sometimes
is-
I'll be like, are we starting the show on time? Negative. We are starting 20 minutes later. 'Cause
And
we
I
have
love
a
it.
soliloquy by Joseph Adler.
And he goes out there and it's almost like, I don't know, he would look at every single person in the audience almost. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
He was really talking to you about it.
And he would always thank the New World P kids.
yeah.
That's what I always loved. He loved seeing us there, and he knew
familiar
that we
faces,
were, exactly.
It's just.
But I remember, with the Super Bowl, he was just like, I think today is some Super Bowl or something. Who cares about that? We're going to see something better. But it was just the way he was and said it. I'm like, yes, I love you. Wow.
Yeah, he had a way of skewering something really hard, but still it was still like it always came from a place of love because you always knew he was well intentioned.
Yeah.
No matter what he said, he just, he didn't. He had his own personal issues, but he didn't hate anything. If anything, he hated hatred and racism and misogyny and all the stuff that has come to the forefront, finally now. And he hated his own flaws because he was a human being and he had his issues. But yeah, and you're right. He did when he would give his speeches, he did look at everybody. There was something. He was just such a personality, and
Yes.
people came to the theater to see Kick-Ass Theater, but he was the draw, I think, over the years because he was just such a big personality and such just a well-intentioned guy, brave, and he did Blasted, for Christ's sake. They ate a
And with a
baby on
beautiful
stage.
mind.
Yeah.
Definitely.
How was
I miss
going
the-
back to theater though? Like did you audition for Miami New Drama, or did they call you up and say, hey, we would love for you to do this, or what was that like?
He had me read the Moises Kaufman play. I think it was called Greed. It was part of the Seven Deadly
okay.
Sins. But he had called me he called me the day I released my short film for Gable Stage, and he hired me. He said, I'm doing a play. I want you in it. And I was like in a hotel room in Sacramento, and I'm like, okay, sure. I couldn't believe that he was going to pull it off, but he offered. He said, I want you in it. I will figure it out. There's going to be a bunch of plays. And I said, okay. He's like, what are you going to turn down? Because I paused because I didn't really believe it. And he's like, what are you going to turn down a play in the middle of a pandemic? And I'm like, no, of course not. So no, I didn't have to. But then it was just a matter of figuring out which role to put me in. And I read for the one where the brother and sister are fighting over money and inheritance.
The greed one. Yeah.
Yeah, greed.
Which was so blatantly greed. What I loved about your show with, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the sin, but I remember it so well. I would talk about it. Gluttony. That's what I loved. Like what I loved about gluttony was just like the hunger for power. Like gluttony is not just what people think of gluttony, which is disgusting. I've eaten a lot. I feel gross. Oh my gosh.
Right.
But like,
Right.
It is almost greed too, the greed of power, but it's like gluttony, like being fed. People hunger for power. And
Yeah.
you translated
Yeah,
that
and you
perfectly.
just can't get enough. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like too that it didn't hit you over the head with the sin.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I mean, it was happening on stage, but it wasn't like, look at me being gluttonous. It was,
Yeah.
it was well written in that way. It didn't spoon feed the audience. So look, this is the gluttony part of gluttony,
It was also well set. Like the set for yours was also great. The fact that it was in a restaurant and you did see like the plates that were left at the table with a little bit of the remnants of food. That was almost the like little hint of, hey, it's gluttony. We're gonna get nice
Yeah.
eating some food.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, me too.
I have a question. What's the funniest audition story you have?
Funniest audition story.
How many auditions have you gone to?
Do you know?
Too many. Funniest audition story. A funny, kind of cool audition story I remembered was Magic City, the TV show for Stars. And it was in town and they were shooting and all the local actors were like, oh, we got to get on the show. We got to get on the show because they were giving recurring roles out, which is like, you got to live in LA or New York for that shit. So I got called back for the role of Phil, the treasurer of the hotel. And I was auditioning for the director of that episode. And I knew the script, but because of nerves or whatever, I went up on a line. But I used that going up on the line, I kind of like infused it into the moment of the scene that I was playing, luckily. And because and I ended up getting it. And I feel like part of it was because of that, because there was a real natural, organic moment there that I was able, it was like I was dribbling a ball and I almost got away, but because it almost got away, I moved around and I was able to make a move around the other defender and just sink it, you know?
All right, basketball. I like it, LeBron James.
Yeah.
But I agree with that. I mean, I feel like people want to see, when you audition, you want to see people. You don't want to, sometimes doing the lines perfectly isn't the best thing. It's like just showing you, who you are.
Yeah, totally.
Talking about TV, I know that we saw you in something that we
look. You said it too about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Your character bingo. I have to ask you: did you improvise, or was it was it scripted? Was it, because I know they improvise a little bit on that show, but I don't know.
They improvise a lot. We improvised a lot on that show, but no, it's hard to remember what was scripted and what wasn't. The guy who plays Dennis went to New World for a couple of years before he transferred to Juilliard. And like him and I were we adored each other. We lived together. We had this house off the bay that's no longer there. It's a big condo. So me and Glenn just like always cracked each other up. That's just the type of friendship we had. And there's actually a moment in the second scene of the episode. I did 2 episodes, but got cut out of one of them. But there's a moment where Glenn's improving something and my character's just listening to him, and he turns away from me and I'm in the background of the camera and you see me breaking, and it's actually in the episode for some reason. That didn't answer your question, but it was a funny moment. We improv'd a lot. I think the eyes up thing, I feel like that was improv. I know the boom was improv. There, and Charlie, when he's doing his thing, the whole scene, when he's trying to say something other than cocaine, we were all just riffing. But it's interesting, like they just feel each other out so well now, and I mean, that was the most fun I've had on a set ever up to this day. I wish I could do that Monday through Friday,
I mean, 14 seasons. I mean, they've been around.
It's crazy. And working with Danny DeVito, I had scenes with him from that one episode, and then I'm being directed by Fred Savage from The Wonder Years. So that was like the first half of the day. And I was a little starstruck by
casual.
Absolutely.
I mean, seriously.
I mean, you're in a room.
Yes, this morning I woke up and I was with Danny DeVito and
we got coffee together.
Yeah,
it was nuts.
And then I said that I would skin his legs off.
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, and Danny DeVito I think was sick that day, so he was a little cranky, but never abrupt or nasty or diva-ish. They were just doing their jobs. They'd been, I think it was the 3rd season, so they were not as a well-oiled machine as they are now, but they were pretty damn well-oiled, and it was great. It was great. That's the type of shit I want to do.
You did Reboot, which is like you wrote it, you acted in it, you did this whole thing. First of all, it was like how she was saying that you're such a real person, like you. Like your voice carries, when you say something, I want to listen. You could literally say tables are terrible for you, and I would listen and say, you know what, I'm going to consider it. I'm going to not work with tables, maybe. It's awesome. So how was that?
That's a lovely, lovely compliment. Thank you. God, I wish I wasn't such a needy person for these compliments. They're so lovely. Do you ever get to a point where you just compliments roll off your back? It's very nice. Thank you. I appreciate it. What the hell was the question?
Reboot.
I didn't really ask a question. It was like a comment, but I wanted to ask how was that doing that? It was so raw.
That was... God, it was such a horrible time in the world. Yes. And I was that whole process was such a shit show, to be honest with you, for me, because I'd never done anything like it before. And I shot the first month that I was working on it in earnest, I shot it on my iPhone. That was the original intention, because I never had a camera, nor did I know how to work one. So I shot the whole thing, 95% of it, on my iPhone, edited it in Adobe Premiere, and I looked at it and I was like, this looks like absolute garbage, and I'm going to be embarrassed. So I spent money. My cousin he majored in film at Temple, and he lives in Hollywood, and he's a big Mahoff producer now. But he advised me, he's like, you rent a camera. And he said that at the beginning of the process, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I need the money. I need the grant money. I'm not going to spend. I didn't even know how much it cost to rent, but I just said, no. And then eventually I was just like, okay, I have to rent a camera and the lenses. And then I had to figure it out. So I had 5 days to like play with this amazing camera and do it on my own. I used a tripod with a t-shirt on it to focus it, because it was manual focus. And I mean, I'm very proud that I actually pulled that thing off. I mean, and as far as the acting part of it, I remember while I was doing it, I was shooting whatever scenes, and I was like, this isn't the hard part. The hard part is the editing and the lighting and all that other stuff. But the acting, because I've been doing it, like this is easy, but it wasn't easy, but it was the easier part of that whole process, which was still just like,
I mean, that's the part you're most comfortable with. That's the part, like you know that.
Tapping into that vulnerability.
Oh, and tap into it you did. How, when you do shows that require such vulnerable moments, is it hard for you to tap into it, bounce back from it? What are some tips you kind of do to get to that moment?
It's interesting, because vulnerability is so essential to round out a character, and it was always something that for me was hard to bring out, hard to have. I remember telling Margaret Ledford from City Theater, we were building the wall, and I had to break down at the end, and I looked at her and I said, I'm never going to fake cry. I'm never going to do that. I said, I'm going to feel what I'm not Sophie's Choice. I'm not Meryl Streep. I can't just call on it. That was back then, like 3-4 years ago. And, so doing those moments where you have to be vulnerable it's a mind screwing and of sorts, because you're acting, but you can't act that. You have to like experience it.
Right.
And maybe I'm a nutbag methody. I'm not really methody, but for me, the camera's like inside of your mouth, for God's sakes. It sees everything. You can't lie, So, and I never planned on going there that hard in that scene. I knew I needed a scene where you just saw him just, lose it. And that was supposed to be in the bathroom. I had this idea, but I couldn't film it in the bathroom because it was just myself and I didn't know how. So it ended up being a therapy session. And, it's interesting. A lot of people called me and were genuinely worried about me, which I have mixed emotions about, because, I hit record, I made sure the lens was in focus, and then I played the scene. So like it's weird. People were worried that I was really experiencing that. Yeah, but it was for the film.
It's a show. Yeah,
I'm actually a very good actor.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I don't think I went there. I let I let the emotions come out. I knew when I was filming it. I was like, oh boy, okay, you better go with it. Just let it go and we'll see. I didn't even know if that scene would have been in focus.
Yeah.
So I shot it twice, and
So you went there
that was it.
twice?
Yeah, but the second time was
Not as
the one that I think ended up. Actually, I
Oh,
used
was there?
2 different takes. The first part of the scene where I wasn't blubbering, and then the second part was the second take.
Yeah, because you were talking to a therapist.
Yeah.
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 What a
Yeah.
great
Oh,
yeah.
also therapy. Get therapy, friends.
Please
Everyone
do.
needs it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you go to therapy regularly or not? I mean, I can't even
Not
say get
regularly,
therapy because
no.
not regularly, but yeah.
Yeah. No. You go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was saying that I say go to therapy, but I don't even go regularly. But I definitely am still a big component. Go,
Yes, please.
Yes, do it.
I support. Not everybody's got the clams, for it.
No, exactly. There's ways to get therapy if you don't have the clams, but it may not, I remember not having insurance and going and seeking out therapy at my college when I was at Nova before New World. Yeah, I go to therapy. Well, I've gone to therapy all my life since like 2010. I went in person, and then before the pandemic hit, I went through a breakup, and I was like, all right, I'm going to try and do some remote therapy before the pandemic. And that therapist really helped me out. I think I used some of what she said to me in the script of the film. It ended up making it into the script because that's what I was just going through, partly. It was based on what I was going through.
It was honest. Yeah.
It was. No, and you could
Yeah.
see that. And it really, it translated so well in the film.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you. Thanks.
I also, because theater is also just hard, which is also why I feel like people need therapy, especially actors, because we are getting told, no, maybe not.
We're
it's
closing
okay.
the doors.
We
We don't even
now
know
that's a
if this
new
is
one,
happening.
Too. It's like we're just shutting down our doors. We were in IO. We were studying improv at IO Chicago before
Right.
they decided to say, hey, by the way, IO's no longer a thing.
Yeah, we were in the 3rd level of it, and we got 2 weeks in, and then they were like, okay, we're going to shut this thing down.
it
You know what word I wanted to say?
Yeah, shut it.
Yes.
But have you ever had a moment where you kind of didn't want to do it anymore? Because I feel like I have had those moments.
Yeah.
And what brought you to that moment? What brought you out of that moment? What made you realize this is worth it?
And what do you do
continue?
when it gets to that, when you're kind of low? Not that necessarily I'm going to quit theater, I'm going to stop doing this, but it's what do you do to pick yourself back up?
What do you do to pick yourself back up? There's no one else is going to kick you in the ass to get you up off your floor, swimming in your own self-pity. No one. So you've got to, and I've dealt with, a semblance of depression on and off throughout my life. It runs in my family. It's a genetic, horrible thing. So I've had to do that personally, and before acting, is pick yourself up. That's the only way you make it through. And I think if you love it enough, it just comes. You overcome the depths of wanting to quit, because I've been there. I can't even count the amount of times. I tried to become a cop once.
No.
I was going to quit acting.
Ask, is there anything else you've ever wanted to do that wasn't theater? Oh, wow.
I wanted to be a cop only. I'd been married, and we were both actors, and she wanted stability more than I did because we were doing fine. But I knew that I needed to make a change. I couldn't, unless I was, incredibly successful in a TV show or a film or something and writing that success, I wasn't going to be able to afford a family. So I was doing Red up in Tampa, and I was looking at other careers that I could see myself waking up every morning to go and do. And I had my brother-in-law's son was a cop for Coral Springs Police Department, and it just popped into my head, and I'm like, damn, I'd love to do that. I think it would be fascinating work. And I tried in earnest. I went hard at trying to become a cop.
Huh.
It was crazy. And I failed completely.
Did you do any workout training?
I did, because I had to pass the physical. It's crazy.
So you went
I
all
had
the way
to-
up to there, but you didn't end up doing a physical, or did you?
Oh no, I did a physical and I passed it. It was
That's right.
It's crazy. God damn. Yeah, it was nuts. The physical I took, it was, I forget all of it, but you had to run a course. You had to climb a wall and do, it was like a paramilitary type course. And you had to pass it in a certain period of time. And there was running and I'm flat-footed. I'm not generally athletic. I can actually play a little basketball. I'm pretty good at that, but I'm not fast, But yeah, I had to take the physical to get into the police academy, and I did that. I sat in front of what they're called oral boards, and you sit in front of like 7 police officers of varying levels of experience, and they grill you and ask you questions. I did that in Del Rey. I did that for the city of Miami. Like, I went after it. If one of those places hired me, I may have been a cop.
That also sounds like a conference in New Worlds where you're just sitting in Team
front
Bailey's
of all
office
your
while
people.
all your teachers are around you talking about you, and you're like, okay, great.
And
Yeah, totally.
and finding out if you made the cut or not, basically, because you
Yeah.
had to get invited
Right.
back every
Could
semester.
you imagine being pulled over by
Yeah.
Gregg Weiner?
Oh my God! Wow.
Oh, please. Patrice told me you don't have a technique in my junior year because I was smoking a lot of weed and I just hated school and I was bored with the junior year program. It was a lot of Shakespeare, which I loved, but I thought that our teacher was bored himself and he was great. He was a great actor, but I felt like teaching wise, he just didn't love it. And you could tell, and it was boring. So I didn't go a lot. And she called me out on it. And so I dealt with that, You don't have a technique. I remember her saying, like, okay.
I mean, yeah, they say a lot of things,
And
and,
it
you're just like, it's
inspired
all right.
me. Yeah, it inspired me. My senior year, I stopped caring what my teachers thought and what everyone else thought. And I started becoming an actor. And the teachers were like, oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. You're actually good. It was very insulting, but also, complimentary,
Well, because it's also you. Once you trust
yeah, that's-
yourself
it's not
instead of
fun.
others.
Yeah. I find when you don't give a crap about what people think of you anymore, you can really create without any kind of walls.
Yeah.
You
How
know?
was your senior year? Your one person show. What was that about?
Yes.
Well, how was that
My
journey?
that was a journey. It's another journey. I wrote like the beginning of 8 different one-man shows. I'd wake up at 6:00 my senior year, first semester. I'd go get a colada and I'd drink the whole thing. And I was smoking cigarettes, writing frantically. And I ended up coming up with the idea of being a Jewish drug dealing agent to the stars in Hollywood. And that's what I did. I forget what it was called, Moses, King of the Jews. And it was funny and it was decently well written. And it was, it didn't go anywhere. It wasn't supposed to, but I was a Jewish drug dealer to the stars. I had funny messages from my mother, on the voicemail to help kind of tell the story. I started it off smoking out of a big bong. I had Rage Against the Machine playing. Like, it was just like everything like I wanted the play to look cool and be funny. And it was,
Was it recorded
good.
by any chance or no?
no.
But that's still amazing. Our one person shows, my God, that
What were
journey
your
is
guys'
just,
shows?
that journey is fun. Aaron's was actually my favorite. It was called Aaron by Aaron.
And that was actually, I want to say, that was not my idea. That was Stuart Meltzer's and kind of Patrice Bailey's idea. They both were like, I think you should, because when I first wrote it, it was about what I thought my SNL audition would be. And I remember like I did a draft, whatever, and I read to Stuart, and Stuart was like, okay, so how much of this of you is in here? I'm like, maybe 90%. He's like, I think you should just go full force. Just have this be about you. And then like I had this name, like I was going to be called like Clementine because I'm like a clam and you could call me a clam. Like I had this whole lame thing. And then he said, why don't you do Aaron with an exclamation point? And I'm not gonna lie, I was really nervous about it because that's kind of obnoxious. My name's Aaron. The show's called Aaron. I had no set and it was just me. And it ended up being like one of the like happiest, like because when I got into the school, they had said in my conference, don't worry, we've moved on. But in my conference, they told me I was a fraud, and I I wear red lipstick and I'm a big caricature, and I get it. Like they were, oh my God, how can there be a real person here? And even Dean Bailey was like, oh my God, who did we let this girl in here? But so it was kind of cool that like my senior year came around and they're literally like,
Forget
hey,
senior year,
can
junior
you?
year.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm trying to say is like, it was cool. Like, yeah, we started here, but then my senior year, you're telling me I can do this about me, that I could be Aaron? Like, what? And I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of followed me everywhere because I realized that's what a lot of people will say. They're either saying like, Aaron, stop doing that, or Aaron, where are you? Or Aaron, I love ya, or and that's not really I love ya, but you know what I mean.
Aaron Gobrat.
Aaron Gobrat, Forever Ireland.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. That's great.
Mine was just about a Cuban woman named Candela, and it was also based about my life because that's the easiest thing to really write about sometimes.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was about like I was talking to my dead mom, even though my parents are not dead, but I was just the same situations happening in my life. I spilled coffee on a white wedding dress that actually in the second day of the show went completely wrong. So I just improvised a whole like I had to leave the stage, get water, and then Bella Lopez was backstage saying like, why are you out of the stage? Like, is it my turn to go? What's going on? I'm like, and I'm just screaming lines or like some improv lines to the stage. Like, it's okay. This is going to be fine.
Yeah.
But that journey was just fun. I remember right after it finished, I read my first draft compared to my final the final show. Two different things. Like I was in shock of how much growth and just transition it went through.
Yeah.
I had this. Yeah, I also didn't think it was like possible for me myself because I thought I like write like Tarzan and kind of talk like Tarzan, so I didn't think like I'd be able to have something like make sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was interesting in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great that you like had that journey and ended up like, oh, I can make sense. I mean,
kidding me?
Seriously, I get what you're saying though. It sounds like kind of, whoa, what's wrong with you? But like finding your voice and the confidence that you need to perform it's sometimes it's hard to, it's elusive. Sometimes you can't find it. And some people can't take rejection at all. And they get destroyed by the smallest the rejection and stop. I've seen it. And it's so you have to have a lot to stay in this business for the long run. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but the confidence is massive.
Yeah.
And to get that in college, your final year, that's worth all the cost to me.
I agree.
And it's true.
You have something to build on. You have that experience to build on and to pull from when you're feeling like crap and you're like, oh, I'm terrible. No, you're not. Remember what you did 2 weeks ago or a month ago or a year ago? Like you did that and it was great. So to me, that's, great stuff. Yeah.
I mean, same with you. You moved to New York during a pandemic. Like you decided, you trusted yourself so much to say, you know what? I'm going to do better there. And I'd rather figure it out there than figure it out here. And you did it. I was going to curse again, but you mother effing did it.
Yeah. And it's like how you're saying, like, it's your attitude, like sometimes. And I actually, I don't want to say sometimes because, like, for example, when I did that one improv class, I was like, oh, God, wow. Made me laugh a little bit, but there was a lot of awkward moments, And then when I waited and I did the writing class and it was just me and 5 people, it was so much fun because I just decided, okay, I'm just going to have fun here. Like, I'm not going to focus on that. I'm not sitting at Second City taking this class or I'm not in Chicago. I'm going to focus on, wow, you know what? I'm in my bed. I have my socks on and I get to learn about writing right now. And I get to learn it from people of Second City,
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, honestly, you adapted. Too. What were you going to say?
No, I just said you adapted, and adaptability is huge. It's another piece of experience that's going to make you better in the future,
Yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely. And it's become more accessible though too, if anything, like all of these opportunities, like what you just said, the fact that you were taking a Second City class in your bed in Miami with your socks on and whatever, like it's making all of these opportunities accessible to people who didn't think they were going to be able to do it before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it.
You can take classes online at Harvard for free.
I was saying that the
Yes,
other day.
she was.
Wow,
Yeah.
because that's what I was telling, that
Yeah, it's
everything is
crazy.
so free sometimes.
It's right there. It's literally right there. And we were saying, like, even before the pandemic, like we've always had this platform. Like you could post anything you want. Like YouTube has been around since 2005. Like, and I forget about that like all of the time. Like that was something too, like with I was like, wow, I've wasted so many years. Like I could have posted this. I could have done this. I could have, but that's not what it's about. The timing is what it was.
Yeah, and
it's
you
perfect.
realized it. But again, it's just like people realizing like, oh my God, I can do this. I mean, the fact that you started recording Reboot on your phone just shows you like,
were like, I could do this. And it's relatable too. Hello, you're doing it from your phone in your
like you can do it. I mean, obviously you did ended up renting a camera. It's okay.
Yeah.
But it could have very well been done all on the phone,
Sure.
all just yourself. But you decided to, you worked a little harder for it, and that's good. What do you feel about awards and award shows? What are your thoughts on this?
I personally, when I won the first time, it made me experience pride in myself because I hadn't up to that point. Like I was proud of myself, and that was a nice feeling to have. My bank account was like negative $1.38, but I still was able to feel that kind of emotion, which is great. And beyond that, I don't know. I mean, actors always pretend that they don't care if they win and they don't care if they're nominated, yet they're like glued to their phones the day the nominations come out.
Yeah.
So I don't think I know yet what I think of award shows. And to me, it's a big con, I think. It's the people who have the power to give the awards sometimes enjoying having that power,
Yeah.
And I don't think the Carbonells are necessarily like that, but I think the Golden Globes probably are. The foreign press. I mean, they're getting skewered left and right for being the way they are.
Yep.
But it just seems like, and especially now, after the pandemic, like you can really do a 3-hour show where you sit there and pat each other on the back, and people are going to sit and cry because they won an award. It just like, and it always kind of felt that way to me, but it's clear now that they really don't matter unless you have the type of experience that I was able to have, like in my growth, feeling self-pride at that moment with negative $1.38 in my bank account was something I needed. And great.
That's a balance.
And that's
Absolutely.
Honestly, like I have an award,
Yeah.
but I look at my phone on the app. Oh, negative $1.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it feels good. I mean, it's true. And it's like when you do good work, it's always nice to be told, hey,
It
you've
is.
done great
Absolutely.
work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is.
And being proud of yourself, like not getting, like just feeling that without having someone tell you to is so difficult. Like
Yeah.
to give yourself
sure.
the pat on the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for my family too. Like my mom, it was exciting for her. Like I felt more excited that she got to experience that, and for my family in general to have that exciting moment of hearing my name announced at the ceremony, and like that was fun. That's it's for them. Like my Carbonells are in the back of my trunk in my car two blocks away right now. I don't put them out and show them off. I almost threw them out on this move because I needed space.
Wow.
And I was like, you know what? Because I don't showcase them, I'm not going to be that guy who's got an awards case. But I was like, don't do that. It just felt wrong to do that, So I figured it out.
Now I'm imagining if you have guests, do you want to see my Carbonells?
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah,
take them to
right.
the trunk. Like, they're actually in here.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh man. What is your favorite one to do though between like TV, movie, show, play, musical?
Play.
Play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about like why for me it's the rehearsal process. I truly enjoy that whole time.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite part of the process is connecting with the audience and affecting them.
Yeah.
Whether it be laughter or it resonates somewhere and you can feel it resonate in the room in that moment when you're doing it, like that communion of energy it's freaking amazing. It's magical, you know, and that's it. But I realized during the pandemic how much I loved rehearsal, because those are the people, the stage, everybody, the designers, the stage manager, the props, all those people are like your family for 8 weeks or 7 weeks, or in my case, it was going to be 6 months. And just like to be disconnected from them and not know when you're going to have those kinds of relationships again makes you realize how incredible it is to have that, you know?
Yeah.
You don't appreciate something until you don't have anymore.
Yeah.
Stupid.
No, but it's kind of nuts that like you meet together and you like you do this whole show and you're learning about things. If someone has a bad day, you know about it.
You're really close. You really do become
like,
family.
And then you like it's done. And then that's it. Like, just like falls out of your fingertips. It's kind of nuts. Like, yes, you could keep the relationship, but it's like in that moment that you're in the rehearsal room or you're doing the show, it's like, wow, guys, like we're never gonna have this again. Like this is the last time.
You get used to that, and you pick up new friends along the way.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, look, Trees. That like Tree is a
Men on
perfect
Boats.
example of we did Men on Boats, and there were 10 other women, and most of them like we do meet with, but Trees was one of the ones that were like, all right, you're sticking with us.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
Exactly.
And then
The last question. This is the final question, which is, if you, what advice would you give your 25-year-old self? We're 25, by the way.
Good question. Advice. Career-wise or personally?
both.
Whatever you want. Like what you would tell your 20, like you get to talk to
I
25-year-old
personally
Gregg.
would like both right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Whew.
But
I
it's,
know,
I'm
I know.
feeling it.
I think career-wise, I would say learn how to make money so you can do what you love. Like get another way to bring in funds, another stream of income somehow, whether it be just get good at something else besides acting. And I'm 47 now. And of course I'm going to say that because I'm not living the way people I went to high school with are living. They're normal adults, like 47-year-old things they do. They've got families and all that crap. So yeah, of course I'm going to say that. I'm going to say don't, because people would say, what are you going to fall back on? I said, well, I'm not going to fall back. So I'm not going to worry about another career because I'm going to act, and that's fun in the moment to say when you're young and rebellious and confident and you believe in yourself. But practically, I would like to have, more stability at this age, and if it's not you can't guarantee that it's going to come from acting. So how else can you make money without, losing your soul, obviously.
Right. Absolutely.
So figure it out. My 25-year-old self, I'd say.
We were always told about the actor and like you are an actor, but you're also and. So what is
Right.
that? Okay. And your personal advice? Probably the same, maybe.
Stop asking girls to marry you.
Oh, nice. Go on. Have you ever seen How I Met Your Mother? Yeah, Ted Mosby. I love it.
Very
Yeah.
nice. You're a hopeful romantic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I grew up on John Hughes movies. I love a good rom-com.
Oh.
So
It's
I'm writing something now that is, of course, it's going to be based on that too. I'm trying to
that's
write
the
it like
best
an
thing.
episodic thing.
Oh, I know what you mean. Okay.
What else?
Yeah.
Talking about writing stuff, what else do you got going on? What is going on? You're in New York now.
Nada, bro. I'm writing. I'm trying to write. I need to write more. I need to be more creative because right now there's nothing, waiting for auditions, doing voiceover auditions right now. I have an agent here and they'll be submitting me. So hopefully I'll be starting to self-tape here pretty soon. That's why I'm here. You know?
Okay.
Right on.
Yeah.
We like it.
Yeah.
All right. Gregg, Stuart, Weiner.
You guys, great. This was great.
This was amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. That was spooky.
Well, can I tell you, that has been happening since I think we were 17.
Yeah, Aaron
18?
and I met when we were 14.
Yes, yes. So
That's what happens when it's been a lot of years.
Yeah, I started to like her more, I think, in the last 2-3 years.
Really, I started liking you the past 30 minutes.
I knew it.
You can check out his short film, Reboot, at rebootshortfilm.com or follow him on Instagram at Gregg Weiner.
Send us a DM if you have a Scene Bena project you'd like to share with us at Scene Bena Pod on Instagram. Scene Bena is sponsored by Main Street Players. Make sure to visit their Instagram at Main Street Players.
You can also visit their website for any information on future events. And if you donate $25 or more, you will receive an I Make Theater Happen original t-shirt.
Your contribution to local theater companies helps to make theater happen.
Scene Bena is sponsored by Magic City Media.
For any video, audio, and streaming services, you can reach out to Magic City Media at magiccitymediaco.com for more information on how to book a session.
You can also follow them on Instagram at Magic City Media Co.